Hey guys, welcome back. Glad you're here. Today's episode is packed with weird, awkward, and totally real Reddit stories. Some are hilarious, some are embarrassing. Some will make you go, there is no way this actually happened. But hey, that's Reddit. As always, Minecraft's running in the background, and I'm here just to read you strange stuff people overshared online. So whether you're here to chill, study, fall asleep, or just laugh at other people's pain, you're in the right place. Let's get into the first story. I once went on a first date that started with spilled soup and ended with a police report. It began like any other awkward Tinder setup. We'd been chatting for about a week, bonded over our shared love of off-brand cereal and deep hatred for cilantro. Her name was Megan, and she had this very calm energy, like someone who knew how to do yoga and also fix a car. We decided to meet at a local cafe that was trying way too hard to be quirky. You know the type? Chalkboard menus, mason jars instead of glasses, plants hanging from the ceiling like they were trying to escape. I got there early and sat near the window. 10 minutes later, she walked in, waved, and promptly tripped over the leg of a chair. Not a dramatic fall, just a half stumble that ended with her grabbing the back of someone's booth. We both laughed. Ice broken. Things were going well. We ordered soup and sandwiches, nothing fancy. She had tomato basil. I went for French onion, mostly because it made me feel sophisticated. We were mid-conversation about bad movies when it happened. I gestured a bit too aggressively while making a joke and knocked my bowl of soup directly into my lap. It was hot, not boiling, but definitely, shout quietly in public, hot. Megan froze. I froze. The table froze. Then she burst out laughing. I tried to mop myself up with one of those tiny napkins cafes pretend are sufficient. She offered her scarf. I declined, thinking I could recover. And then, bless her, she said, "That actually makes me feel better. I spilled wine in my boss's lap last month. This is way more charming." We kept talking. She made fun of how I smelled like onions. I leaned into it, joking I was now French and sophisticated in scent. Then came the bill. I pulled out my wallet, which was now damp and soup-stained. The waiter saw the mess, smirked, and said, "Looks like you had a liquid experience." I still don't know what that was supposed to mean. We walked outside, still laughing. Then I realized I couldn't find my car keys. I patted my pockets. Megan checked under the table. No luck. We retraced our steps back to the cafe. Still nothing. Turns out my keys had fallen into the booth seat crack next to where Megan first stumbled. A waitress found them and came running out just as we were about to give up. Problem solved? Almost. We walked to my car, only to find it wasn't where I'd parked it. Gone. I looked around, panicked. Megan squinted at a small sign I'd missed. "Tow zone after 6 p.m., she read. It was 6:17. Cue us taking an Uber to the impound lot, Megan still holding my scarf like a hostage. We got to the lot. I explained everything to a very tired man in a reflective vest. He told me it'd be $185 to release my car. Megan offered to split it. I refused. As we waited, she turned to me and said, "So, second date at the DMV?" I laughed. "Only if we wear matching orange vests." We never did have a second date, but she texted me the next morning. "My scarf still smells like soup. Not mad about it." And honestly, that might have been the most honest end to a date I've ever had. Okay, that one was painful, but kind of sweet. Let's keep going. Here's the second story. Back in my freshman year of college, I somehow became the center of a weeks-long misunderstanding involving a missing hamster, a dorm-wide email chain, and an alarming number of granola bars. It all started when our RA, Marcus, sent out a floor-wide email. "Hi all, Reminder that no pets are allowed in the dorms. Someone reported squeaking sounds. Please make sure you're following the rules. Naturally, no one cared. Most of us assumed it was someone's terrible gaming chair or maybe a cursed rubber duck. But 3 days later, a second email came. Update. Hamster confirmed. If you're harbouring him, please come forward. His name is Pickle. That changed everything. People went nuts. There were posters, TikToks. Someone made a meme account called Free Pickle. It got 400 followers in 2 days. People were sneaking around the halls late at night whispering, "Pickle?" like it was a spy movie. Now here's where it got complicated. I had no idea who owned Pickle or where he was. But I did have a habit of leaving granola bars in random places. Desk drawer, laundry basket, sometimes just under my pillow. Don't ask. One afternoon, I came back from class and found a note taped to my door. "Nice try. We know you're feeding him. Confess." I was confused. Then I opened my drawer and found one of my granola bars half chewed, like little teeth marks. That was all it took. By dinner time, 3 people had anonymously told Marcus they'd seen me near the vending machines talking to myself. Someone else claimed they saw a tail poking out of my hoodie. I didn't even own a hoodie with a pocket. But it escalated fast. Marcus knocked on my door that evening and asked if he could have a quick chat. I let him in. He sat down real serious and said, "Look, man, if you're keeping Pickle safe, I get it, but we need to find him. This is becoming a campus issue." I tried to explain that I had no hamster and that I'm just extremely messy with snacks. He didn't buy it. Said he was putting me on a soft watch list. Whatever that means. Over the next week, I got weird looks from people in the dining hall. Someone left a trail of sunflower seeds outside my room. A girl in my psych class offered me a hamster wheel just in case. Then one night, I came back to my room. And Pickle was there, just sitting in the middle of the floor, like he owned the place. I stared. He stared back. No one else was in the room. Door locked. Windows closed. I had no idea where he came from. So I did what anyone would do. I gave him a granola bar, took a selfie, and emailed Marcus. Guess who showed up? Marcus arrived in 5 minutes flat. He looked like he was about to cry. He scooped up Pickle like a long-lost child and whispered, "We found you, buddy." Apparently, Pickle had been living in the walls for 3 weeks. No one knows how he got into my room. The working theory is he followed the smell of oats. After that, people apologized. Mostly. The girl with the hamster wheel ended up dating me for a semester. And Pickle, he became the dorm mascot. We even got free Pickle hoodies. All right, no ghosts, no magic, just granola and a hamster. Next story coming up. Here's the third story. I once got accused of stealing a neighbour's takeout, and somehow that spiraled into a week-long neighbourhood watch investigation, even though I'm literally the least threatening person in our entire apartment complex. It started on a Tuesday. I was working from home, completely fried after 5 straight Zoom calls. I hadn't eaten anything all day except 2 leftover Pop-Tarts and the last 5 Cheez-Its from the box. Around 6 p.m, I caved and ordered tacos from this new spot down the street. They said 30-40 minutes, standard. At 37 minutes exactly, I got a text. "Your order has been delivered." But when I opened my door, no tacos. Just an empty hallway and one very confused cat from across the hall staring at me like I owed him money. I triple-checked. Nothing. I even went down 2 floors thinking maybe the driver hit the wrong apartment number. Nada. So I texted the number back. "Hey, I think you dropped it off at the wrong place." 5 minutes later, the driver sends back a blurry photo of a doormat, clearly not mine, with my taco bag sitting neatly on it. I zoomed in. Recognized the mat. It belonged to apartment 4C. Now, 4C is, well, it's Glow's place. Gloria. A 60-something-year-old ex-teacher who once yelled at a delivery guy for wearing his pants too confidently. She's nice, sort of, but intimidating in the way strict librarians are intimidating. Like she could end your social life with a single group email. I hesitated, then knocked. She opened the door fast, like she'd been expecting someone. "Evening," I said, as non-threateningly as possible. "I think my tacos got dropped off here by mistake." She blinked. "I haven't seen any tacos." I showed her the photo. Her doormat was unmistakable. It literally says welcome-ish. She squinted at the photo, then back at me. "Not mine," she said flatly. "Must have been stolen." And shut the door. Okay. So now I'm standing there, taco-less, mildly insulted and deeply unsure how to proceed. I didn't want to accuse Glow of anything. Maybe someone else grabbed them. Whatever. I reorder. Same tacos. Another 40-minute wait. When the second delivery came, I met the guy at the door. He handed me the bag and said, "Hey, just so you know, your neighbor took the first one." I froze. He continued, "Lady in the purple bathrobe?" I asked if she was Alex. She said yes. Real polite, tipped in change. I thanked him, took my tacos, walked back inside, and stared at my wall for 10 full minutes. Next day, Glow slipped a note under my door, handwritten, cursive, lavender paper. I apologize for the taco confusion. "I thought they were from my granddaughter. You may keep the included peace offering." Attached was a single oatmeal raisin cookie in a Ziploc bag. No offense to Glow, but it tasted like betrayal. I figured that was the end of it. Nope. 2 days later, a flyer appeared in the elevator. "Be aware. Someone has been watching our deliveries. Food theft is real. Stay vigilant. Report anything suspicious." Guess who signed it? Glow. Suddenly, I was the one getting side-eyed in the mailroom. Someone slid an anonymous note into my laundry basket. "We know what you did." And the worst part? I was too embarrassed to explain. Who believes, actually, the thief accused me of stealing from myself? Eventually, I ran into Glow in the hallway. She nodded politely. "Hope your dinner was better the second time." I said nothing. She smiled. "Next time, order something spicier." I think we're friends now. Maybe not, but at least I got my tacos. Some neighbors borrow sugar. Some steal tacos and gaslight you about it. Classic. Here's the fourth story. For 2 full months, everyone at my office thought I was a trained barista. I'm not. I just once owned a French press and a Tumblr account. It started with a broken coffee machine. The one in our break room finally gave up after years of abuse. I came in one Monday morning to find a handwritten sign taped to it. "Dead, do not press. We are in mourning." Someone had drawn a crying bean. That same day, I happened to bring in my personal pour-over setup. You know, just for myself. I had a little glass dripper, a bag of decent beans, and a kettle that made me look like I knew what I was doing. I brewed a cup quietly in the corner, and that should have been the end of it. But then Steve from accounting walked by. Steve said, "Smells amazing. What roast is that?" My brain blanked. I panicked and said, Ethiopian single origin. Very bright." That was a lie. It was Costco medium roast. But Steve nodded like I'd spoken poetry. "Wow, you know your stuff." Then he asked if I could make him one. I said yes, because I have no spine. By Thursday, I was making coffee for half the floor. People started bringing their own mugs. Lisa from HR brought almond milk and labeled it for the brewmaster. I wish I was kidding. Someone set up a tip jar. It had 17 in it by Friday. I kept telling myself I'd stop. But every time I tried, someone would say, Please, my day doesn't start without your pour-over. And I'd fold like a lawn chair. Then things escalated. One of the partners asked if I'd be willing to teach a coffee appreciation workshop. Another emailed me an invite to speak at his Rotary Club about artisanal brewing in the corporate world. I Googled half those words. Still, I said yes, again, because again, no spine. I ended up giving a 20-minute presentation during lunch hour, complete with a slideshow. I included pictures of beans I found on Instagram and made up words like earthy creamy and sunlight forward. I quoted an article I didn't read. People took notes. Eventually, I knew I had to end it. I was getting too deep. Someone offered to build me a custom brewing cart so you can move more freely between departments. So I staged a scandal. I told everyone I'd gotten a job offer from a local cafe. Said I'd be leaving in a week. There was an office-wide goodbye party. Someone made a cake that said, "Espresso yourself." I cried. On Monday, I came back like normal. Same desk, same job. But the coffee gear, gone. People asked what happened to the cafe job. I told them it didn't work out. They looked sad. A few even patted my shoulder. Steve from accounting still brings me pastries on Thursdays, says, "For the best almost barista I've ever known." I nod and drink my instant coffee in peace. Honestly, I respect the hustle. Let's keep going. Here's the fifth story. I once got mistaken for someone's fiancé at a family reunion, and instead of correcting them, I played along for an entire weekend. It started at a highway rest stop. I was driving solo to visit a friend out of state and stopped to grab coffee. The place was packed, some kind of festival traffic, so I ended up waiting behind a long line of people trying to make their road trips bearable with caffeine and microwave burritos. I'm standing there when this woman, mid-60s, floral blouse, sunglasses on her head, suddenly walks up and hugs me, like full-on embrace. "You made it," she says. I froze. Behind her, an entire group is waving. A man with suspenders, 2 teen girls holding slushies, a woman in a glittery hat taking a selfie. "I knew you'd come," the woman said again. "Kayla will be so happy." I started to explain she had the wrong guy, but then someone else, a 20-something girl in jeans and boots, grabbed my arm and said, "We're already late for the welcome dinner. Come on." That must have been Kayla. She looked at me with the kind of warmth that's hard to fake. She smelled like vanilla lotion and hope. "I told them you weren't flaky." I panicked and nodded. "Of course," I said. "Let's go." That was mistake number 1. By the time I fully processed what was happening, I was already in someone's minivan. Turns out this family reunion was a multi-day affair at a nearby campground lodge. It had a name like Whispering Pines or Tranquil Cedars, something aggressively peaceful. I was introduced to 12 people before we even reached the parking lot. Everyone kept calling me Alex, which conveniently is my name. Kayla's mom, the hugging lady, chatted the whole ride, asking about our move-in date, if we'd picked out a wedding venue yet, and whether I still snored when I was stressed. I nodded. I laughed. I said, "We're looking into barns." Mistake number 2. That night, I was seated at the head table. There were speeches, a slideshow. At one point, someone handed me a microphone and asked me to say a few words about finding love in a hopeless place. I quoted a Rihanna song. They clapped. Kayla sat beside me the entire time, smiling. Every time I glanced at her, hoping for some signal that she too knew this was all a mix-up, she just squeezed my hand. I started to think, maybe I am her Alex. The next morning, I woke up in a cabin, a twin bed, doilies, a crocheted pillow that said, "Faith Family Fishing." There was a note on the dresser from Kayla. "Went for a run, don't forget. Canoe races at 10. I blinked at it for a long time. Outside, the smell of bacon and sunscreen filled the air, and I made a choice. If I'd survived day one, I could survive day two. I went to the canoe races. I lost, badly. But Uncle Pete high-fived me like I'd won gold. Someone gave me a koozie that said, "Paddle or die." Kayla's cousin took a picture of us and said, "One for the wedding slideshow." I just smiled. It went on like that, for days. I played cornhole. I helped grill burgers. I told a story about that time Kayla and I got lost at IKEA, which was actually a date I had in 2018 with someone else entirely. I played charades, sang karaoke, even held a baby named Jeremiah. I was fully embedded. By Sunday night, I started to feel guilty. Not because of the deception, though, yeah, that too, but because I actually liked these people. I liked Kayla. She laughed with her whole body. She called me nerd every time I made a bad pun. She pulled me onto the dance floor during Cousin Stephanie's engagement party and whispered, "You're doing great, by the way." It almost felt real. So that night, I pulled her aside. We were standing by the lake, fireflies doing their magical floaty thing. I said, "Kayla, can I ask you something?" She looked at me, tilted her head. "Do you know who I am?" I asked. She smiled. "Yeah, you're Alex." I laughed nervously. "No, like, do you really know me?" She didn't miss a beat. "Nope." Pause. Then she said, "My Alex bailed 2 hours before we were supposed to leave. Texted me, 'Can't do this, sorry.' So I brought his stuff. Figured someone would show up." I stared. She shrugged. "You looked nervous. Thought it'd be fun." I didn't know whether to be furious or impressed. "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked. She grinned. "Because you were doing great. And honestly, you're way better than the real guy." We both stood there, quiet, then burst out laughing. We still talk. Haven't crashed any more reunions, but sometimes she texts me photos from our family. And I gotta say, I've never looked so happy in pictures with strangers. Okay, that story was ridiculous, but you have to admit, it was kind of beautiful too. If this helped you laugh, unwind, or just zone out for a bit, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, or just drop a hi in the comments. New stories every day. Stay weird, stay cozy, and I'll see you in the next one.